removing the front seat on the Nissan Maxima, it's the same whether you're doing the driver's seat or the passenger seat. You start by moving the seat all the way forward, and you have these plastic covers. So they call it pawls. You spread those and slide it back. So it's a two-handed job. See this one, same thing, you spread the pawls and then it has one connector that snaps in. And remove the bolt from there. It's a 14mm. And it should be torqued to 36 foot-pounds. Also 14mm. And then just to show you, the passenger side is the same. Slide. Unclip. 14mm bolts. As typical, are way over torqued. And once you have the seat all the way back, the fronts are exposed, but I recommend the next thing you do is go disconnect the battery, because it needs to be disconnected at least 3 minutes to discharge the airbags so they won't blow up on you when you remove the seat. And while we're waiting for the 3 minutes, we can unbolt, but we just don't want to disconnect the electrical yet. So these are just like the back. You spread them and slide them. And they call those pawls. And just like in the rear, they have 14mm bolts. Passenger front is the same. 14mm bolts that they way over torqued. Okay, now I checked the clock and it has been well over 6 minutes, so the battery should be discharged enough that we won't get airbags blowing up on me. After wrestling with it for a long time, I've decided that it's supposed to be disconnected from here rather than from the seat, because there's nowhere that this yellow wire comes off of the seat that I can tell. And same thing with this one. Even if you see, like, this one goes and splits 3 ways, have to be disconnected there, there. But the yellow one just disappears. I don't even know where it would go. But if you look at this connector, there is nothing on it that looks like any kind of disconnect. And this type of engineering, it pisses me off. I'm gonna be honest, it really pisses me off, because they could have this in here and they could have a press, slide, and release like everything else that's ever been designed. But there's nothing on here. Same with this one. Nothing obvious. Now I can rip this out of here, and that gets me another couple inches. Like this one, I had to rip that one out of there, but And of course, you'd have to rip this out anyway because it's attached to the seat side. I mean, none of this makes any sense at all. That's what I'm getting at. There doesn't appear to be any reason to make it this complicated. And so I'm going to mess with it. It almost looks like you have to have a couple hands to squeeze both sides of this. You know, and they're offset, they're not on the same. I mean, everything about this just seems dumb. After lots of twisting and turning, I found it was easier to pull that completely off of there. This one, it's push right there to release. So you push that and then pull from this side. This one, it was kind of hidden in there, and I don't remember how that exactly went back on. I guess it was like that. So you had to push this piece right there, push that, and then while you're pulling on that, and that came off. So next thing you want to do is either wrap these, or at least be very conscientious of when you're pulling the seat out. It could be heavy depending on how strong you are, and these tend to do a lot of damage if you're not careful. And so again, I find it easier to just pry that right off of there, because you're going to have to pry it off anyway. Yeah, so you have to get that in there like this. You can't really get maybe you can get a fingernail in there. Yeah, completely unnecessarily difficult in my opinion. They do not have to make it that difficult to get that off of there. Again, press and release. So with the seat out, you can do your best cleaning. So I'm gonna pick up all this trash, vacuum, and then shampoo, and that will make a huge difference in the smell in here. One thing, a lot of times what I like to do is just thread the bolts back in a few turns. That way, when you're vacuuming, you don't suck them up in the vacuum or lose them. Installations to reverse the removal. We'll start by reconnecting the electrical, and battery is disconnected, so we shouldn't have any airbag problems. And then see if I can figure out how to snap those back over. So I got that one slid on that way, and this one's going to slide on this direction. Just like that, and then clip those back in. And then that just covers that. And then you just want to slide the seat and get the metal lined up. Torque the bolts to 36 foot-pounds. Torque wrench. Process in the rear. Thread the bolts in. Bottom them out with the power tool. replace the covers.